Hello, my name is Elise, or Cafe Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite standard decks that got some new support in DZ-BT-13, that being the Destined King of Infinity, Levidras, Empireo. Levidras is a very powerful deck if it gets going, due to the Infinity as markers, which we'll get to pretty shortly. They are just kind of blank markers, though, that check for something. It's got really good hand advantage, and it does 4 to 5 attacks with 2 back row attacks. But without keeping you waiting any longer, let's go ahead and get into the ride line, starting with the D starter, Stagnipper Dragon. It's just a regular D starter, but it's very important for the grade 1 Squirepiercer Dragon, because as long as you have a copy of Stagnipper and Soul, when you ride into a Mantis Scythe, you can ride without discarding a card. And speaking of our Mantis Scythe Dragon, as an auto ability when rode upon by a grade 3 Levy, that for 3 energy you get to check the top 5 cards of your deck, pick a grade 3 card from among the grade 3 or lower, reveal it, put it into hand, then shuffle. This means you can get literally anything in the deck. You're not running anything grade 4, as no restrictions on it being a unit, order, regardless piece, anything like that. And going into the grade 3 for the line, of course, we're on the Destined King of Infinity, Levidras Empireo, who has 3 skills, a continuous, to where he's always treated as the Destined One of Infinity, Levidras, and during your turn he'll get 5k for each copy of the original and Soul, and will copy all of their divine skills. The ability to either counterblast 1 or put a card from your hand to Soul to put 2 Infinity markers on any 2 rearguard circles, or 3 if you put a Levidras from hand to Soul. It doesn't have to be the original you put in. You can put Persona Rides in too. And it has the skill that whenever any player's unit on a rearguard circle that has an Infinity as marker attacks or boosts, you can have that unit gain or lose 10k power. And if your opponent's unit lost 10k power, you remove that Infinity as marker and you draw a card. Literally, it only removes 1 from the circle, so if you stacked them, because nothing about placing them says they can't go on circles that already have them, you'll only remove 1. Moving into our main deck, of course, we got 3 Persona Rides and 4 copies of the original Destined One of Infinity Levidras, who the only thing that's going to matter on here, aside from being a Levidras in name, is the divine skill, because this is the only way your Empireo has a divine skill. Oh, it's an act on Vanguard Circle as long as your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater. To Soul Blast 1, pick 2 Vanguard Circles, your opponent, one of your opponents, one of yours, put 2 markers down, and then your Vanguard will gain plus 10k and a critical for the turn. So going second, that's kind of how you're going to catch up a little bit and get a bit more pressure. Moving on through the grade 3s though, we also got Knight of Formosity Charmnet, who very recently came back, I believe, last banlist or the banlist before. She was at 2, she's at 3 now, or she's at 4 now. I'm running her at 3. She has 2 skills, an act and drop zone as long as you have 3 or more Infinity as markers on the board, and you don't have another copy of her, you can Soul Blast 1 to call her back. And when she attacks, as long as you have Infinity as marker in the same column, could be circle she's in, booster, opponent circles. She can retire another unit to gain 10k, and at the end of the battle, as long as you've done the skill, you can retire her to draw a card. So she's a Cursive Beater and hand advantage. And lastly, rounding out my grade 3 cards as a kind of meta pick for her, what is currently really big in the meta, I'm on 1 copy of Sure Kill Seed Machine Gun, which is a grade 3 blitz order that can be played with a counterblast. You pick one of your units being attacked and give it 10k till end of the battle. Then you give your Vanguard the auto ability that when your opponent's front row unit stands or your opponent's unit is placed on the front row rearguard circle, it'll gain 5k till end of turn. The reason I'm playing it as a one-of is because with the Infinity as markers, you'll be digging a lot. You'll be able to draw through a lot of the deck with them and Charmnet. And so a lot of your like meta picks can just be one-offs, and this ends up giving your Vanguard additional power going to Igicon, going into Kaikon, and Barracrea, Blankmire Phantom, Lego Regnus. This is a really the important meta pick in my opinion, because it lets you get a little bit extra guard against these big powerhouse multi-swing decks, and every little bit of guard does count. Moving on to our grade 2s, though, we've got 4 copies of On-Fall Malagaster, who, when placed on rear, as long as they have Infinity's marker in the same column, for 3 energy, it'll look at the top 2 cards of the deck, add 1 to hand, and then either top or bottom deck the other, and then it'll get 5k for the turn. And during your turn, as long as you have a grade 3 Greater Vanguard with Levidras and there are 3 or more markers, you'll get 5k, and if the back row only has 1 copy of him, he can attack from the back. So this is going to be one of your main ways to get additional attacks. Just because he passively gets 1. Continuing on through our grade 2s, we're on 3 copies of Acquired Pantherod. He's got 2 auto abilities. First is an on place. As long as he's put on a circle with Infinity's marker, it'll gain 5. And if it's put on a circle that does, if it's put in the same column as another Infinity's marker, it'll give a different regard 5. So if you put him on one, and there's another one in the same column, he'll give 5 to himself and 5 to something else. At the end of the battle he attacks. By retiring him, you get to check the top 7 cards of your deck for a Levidras, then shuffle. So this is going to be how you're finding your Persona Rides and your resource levies. Moving on, we have the new Grade 2 Wind Streaks Hunter, Gartisa, who, when placed on rear, as long as you have an Infinity's marker in the same column, for counterblast, you'll do one of the 2 following effects and get 5k. You'll either draw a card or you'll pick a grade 3 or lower card from drop and call it. And when she attacks, as long as you have 3 or more markers, she can get an extra 5, so there'll be 10 total. She's recursion or draw, depending on what you need in the situation. And continuing on with the recursion, we're also on 2 copies of Skullclaw Huntsman Hooli, who, when placed on rear, as long as you have Infinity's marker in the same column, for a single counterblast, you pick a grade 3 or less card from drop, call it to rear, and if you have 3 or more markers, she'll gain an additional 10. The reason this isn't the promo is because I do not own the promo. If I did, it would be same ratios, 4 and 2. Moving on, though, rounding out our recursion pieces, I've got 1 copy of Mutual Feelings Maiden Pence, who, when placed on rear other than during the battle phase, she'll get 5, and then for the energy, she'll dump a card from the top 7 of your deck and call a unit from drop. On that, when she attacks, she'll gain 5 for the opponent's on grade 3 or greater, and then if you drop a 3 or more card, she'll get another 5. And rounding out our grade 2s is our Regardless piece of choice, Protection Twin Cast. This is honestly the only one you should be playing. You really need the extra guard value in this deck. Moving on to our grade 1s, we've got our other multi-attack piece, Full Knowledge Foxel, who, when he boosts, as long as you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levy, he'll gain 5. And when he boosts a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Levidras, as long as your opponent's rearguard circle has an Infinity's marker, it'll get +2. Then you can counter +1, pick a back row rearguard, and give that unit the ability to attack in the back row, and 10k. That's your main way to get additional attacks. And one of the main picks for that is going to be everyone's favorite card, Inquisitive Squirrel, who, as a once per turn auto ability at the end of the battle, he boosts for a Soul Blast. You can move it to an open back row rearguard circle, and if you move it to a circle with Infinity's marker, restand and give him +5. So you're going to have him boost the Charmnet, who's going to retire the Anagaster, move him over, he'll restand, and he'll be at minimum 33 on his own. Rounding out grade 1s, just 4 Sentinels. Moving on to our trigger lineup, I'm on 8 critical triggers. And then I'm on 3 draw triggers, too. The reason I'm on draws is because your hand advantage in the early game especially is really important. You are a heavy combo deck, you really need to live to see grade 3. Continuing on with that, I'm on 2 and 2 for heals and the extra crit heals. And lastly, my overtrigger of choice is of course going to be Bus Favor, who has the additional effect of doing an order draw trigger, critical trigger, front trigger, and heal trigger. going through the pros and cons of this deck, if it gets going, it's really hard to stop it because it'll have a lot of hand advantage. It'll be able to get a lot of guard and be very defensive. But that also leads into the primary con of the deck, is that it needs to live that long. It needs to hit grade 3 to really be a threat. Because the only thing that is active before grade 3 is your Pump Rod and your Pence. Everything else requires you to have advanced markers, and nothing makes them but the levies. But this is my Levidras deck profile for BT-13. If you guys like the video, you like listening to me yap, and you guys are excited I'm back, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Ciao.